Glad to have you join us on today's market report on ADBN television. I am Adefola Olamide. My guest is already seated. And the issues around the Development Commission being created in Nigeria nowadays, or today per se, is raising some questions, particularly questions about can they really tackle development issues? Or what impact would they have on the economy? Because for us, we are concerned about their impact on the economy and how they could also be of greater impact on the generality of the regions they are being created for. I have seated in the studio with me Dr. Adoyi Mathew Omale, who will be helping us to understand what is Development Commission and how are we going to grasp the interest within the politics of the Development Commission, because Dr. Mathew is also a political economist. He will help us to understand that. Very good day to you, Prof. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm glad to be at the ADBN television.
Thank you. So let's get the ball rolling. The first question any of our viewers who want to be interested is, what are Development Commission all about?
Development commissions are organs of government or agencies of government that are established to carry out development in particular area or in particular region. They are basically interventionist agencies that are set up to address development gaps where they exist. These commissions are set up to address specific issues like issues of poverty, issues of infrastructure, issues which are peculiar to specific regions. For example, the issues that affect northwest of Nigeria may not be issues that affect south of Nigeria. Issues that affect south of Nigeria may not be issues that affect north central of Nigeria. So different regions have their challenges, and that is why government in its wisdom mooted the idea of having these development commissions to address development gaps that the mainstream government institutions cannot address.
Very interesting and very insightful from you. Now, you know, issue have beckoned on us that these are not the first period we are having Development Commission. It dated back to 1962 or thereabout, when we have the Nigerian Development Board that came to be. But if you review from that period till now, what will you say about the Development Commission in Nigeria in terms of their efficiency, their effectiveness, and their meeting up with the demands that require them to be created?
My approach to issue of development is that development is a very, very serious issue that in Nigeria we play a lot with issues of development. You see, I think from the experience of most of these commissions that have been set, you will understand that a lot of the chunk of their budget goes on overhead. Which is not good enough. Directors, deputy directors, assistant directors, staff, regional offices, state offices. So a lot of income, a lot of money that should have been channeled towards actual development is funneled into establishing bureaucracies for this commission. And that is where the problem is. You will hear 343 billion budget for the Southeast Development Commission. Out of that, overhead costs and personnel costs and other costs will take almost 80% of such money. And at the end of the day, only the paltry 20% will be meant for whatever programs that they have set out to do. So my approach to development is not about creating commissions. We have our annual budget, which most times is not effectively implemented up to even 40 or even 30%. And then we are talking about creating bogus bureaucracies, bogus institutions, you know. And to me, addressing development challenges of this country, it does not lie in creating these agencies or these commissions, as the case may be. We all know the drivers of development. What percentage of power are we putting out there into our societies? What security mechanisms are we putting in place to safeguard lives and properties? What are we putting in place to tackle climate issues, to tackle climate change issues, and so on? Those are the things that I think government have enough institutions to address most of these issues. We have the Ecological Fund, for example. We have TET Fund, for example. We have We have several other government agencies, too numerous for me to mention, that can handle issues of development as the case may be. Creating commissions will further reduce the funds that should be available for government to actually carry out this. We have FEMA, we have so many agencies, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, that could do roads and so on. We have the National Poverty Eradication Program, NAPEP. We have so many agencies of government that are doing the same thing. So creating commission to me is not the way to go. We have seen the example of OMPADEC, for example, during the military regime. We have seen example of several of these interventionist agencies. Take, for example, the NDDC, for example. The NDDC has been there now for close to 7 or 8 years. And what really can we say is the impact of the NDDC? Yes, NDDC is desirable because of the problem in the Niger Delta. It was one of the agencies that were set up to help increase the development in the Niger Delta as a result of militant activities. But here down the line, what really can we really point out that NDDC as an agency has achieved? All what we see is that NDDC is a cesspool of corruption. Where
so sorry to cut you in there. Talking about cesspool of corruption, there have been arguments per se that in real fact, what is the surge behind, or what is the drive behind this creation of a commission? I'll give you a background. When President Tinubu came to power in last 2023, there were bills for the establishment of this commission. President Buhari only created one, that is the Northeast Development Commission in 2017. He left the other bill to just be in National Assembly. But the moment President Tinubu came to power, they pick up those bills and begin to work on it. And now we have at least three additional development commissions that have added to the 3 that was available before, making them 6. But there is this argument about federalism. There is this argument about President Tinubu drafting towards regional government. Do you share in that light that the essence of this commission is toward that regional government or regional development that could bring out or support the development from the grassroots, as being canvassed by some people?
I don't think it's true. When we talk about true federalism, or we talk of devolution of power, or we are talking about regional government, it is not in creation of commission. We are talking about devolving federal power to the federating unit, to the subnationals, to the local government, and to the states, and to the federating units. Okay, it is not the creation of commission, which is essentially a federal agency that will address that agitation for true federalism, as the case may be. To me, creation of development commission is not to address agitation for reducing the power of the federal government. In fact, it further expand the tentacles of the federal government, as far as I'm concerned, because these commissions that are created are parastatals or agencies of the federal government. And it's still making the federal government to be larger than life. It's making the federal government to be too large and unmanageable and unwieldy. And then we are dancing around the same thing all the time. Now, on the point you raise about the need for development commission, yes, everybody understood when the Northeast Development Commission was created. People felt that because of the crisis in the northeastern part, occasioned by the Boko Haram insurgency in 2012, a lot of devastation has taken place in the northeast. A lot of families were displaced. A lot of infrastructure were bombed or destroyed, and so on. So people felt that, okay, why not support the northeast to rebuild? A lot of schools were damaged, a lot of areas were damaged. But in some other zones, that was not the case. And that was why the Northeast Development Commission was established. But later now, it now became an issue of every zone saying that they have a similar experience like the Northeast. That yes, they might not be at war directly, but they have similar development challenges like the Northeast. And so the agitation continues. And of course, the National Assembly members, everybody wants to go home to say, oh, I am the one that facilitated the creation of this agency or that agency. So what you see as the trend in the National Assembly now is to create development agencies, is to create build universities or polytechnic as the case may be,
or federal medical center.
So you have attracted, according to them, you have been able to attract development to your region or to your state, as the case may be. But you see, that is not sustainable development. Those kind of things are not sustainable. If you look at all the indices of the MDGs, we are still lacking behind. We are in 2025, 5 years to 2030, and we are nowhere to near addressing the issues of the SDG. Do we have power supply? The question is no. Go to most rural areas, they are not there. Except if these intervention agencies are now going to dabble into rural electrification.
They will, because I don't know, they call themselves intervention agencies, and they will have to.
They don't have the capacity.
Okay.
That is the truth. The people that have the capacity are the distribution centers, the generation companies, and so on. So if you are setting up a development commission to go into the power sector, then we are not, our development is not coordinated. There is no concerted effort to harmonize our development challenge. You are throwing money into everything, and then you are not achieving any result. You are just creating agencies, throwing money, voting money, and this money is looted and relooted.
And so sorry, Doc. I'm talking about money. I think something we put up on the screen right now, talking about the budget for these 6 intervention agencies called Development Commission.
Yes.
1.56 trillion will be spent on them in year 2025. Yes. Each of them is receiving, apart from Niger Delta Development Commission that is receiving close to 350 billion and thereabout, others are receiving about 250 billion. 250 billion each. It is on the screen right now. You can see 2025 budget showing the portion of how much of money each of these agencies will be collecting. With Niger Delta is receiving close to 628% of the entire budget of the 1.54 trillion naira that will be given to them. Then followed by the rest of the agency. NEDC, that is Northeast Development Commission, is also followed with the highest with about 240. Then the rest are there with 140%, 140%. And then except for IPADEC. IPADEC is the hydropower agency mainly for rural development areas that are hosting our hydropower infrastructure. So they are all there coming to collect money from the budget. And you made mention of throwing money at them. So it brings to question, in terms of tackling the actual mandate of their project, do you see them doing it? Or we can say, okay, they are doing it but not as expected. Or they are not doing it as expected because there have been arguments. For instance, in Niger Delta that you mentioned, I've seen them commissioning road, 30 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and the rest of them. But is it all about road? And these ones that are coming up, they also be engaging in road. So we are asking the question, with all this money coming to them, how would they be able to impact the people and generally impact the economy of the host region they are taking over?
You see, like I said earlier, it's not budgeting money that is the problem. It is what is the money being used for, and how effective are the programs or projects that are going to be executed. If you look at most of the projects in the Niger Delta area as we speak are either abandoned or poorly executed, and after 2-3 days we are back to square one. So like I said, issues of development, for example, if you want a sustainable development, there are certain key issues that you must put in place. If you take poverty alleviation, for example, yes, buying a motorcycle for people to be riding all over the place is not really poverty alleviation. What have you really created? What skills have you really given these people? Okay, they are fishermen. How have you been able to train them to be able to maximize their fishing profession? Okay, they are farmers. How have you been able to mechanize their farming inputs? Those are sustainable development issues that this development commission are supposed to be looking at. But all they do is that these commissions are created as a conduit by where people struggle for contracts that are shoddily or poorly executed, and then billions of naira, as you see, have been budgeted, are funneled through these agencies, and that is why there's a lot of agitation, there's a lot of lobbying for the position for this positions by a lot of Nigerians to occupy either MD or some of these positions. So in area like the South, the NDDC, for example, covers even non-South states. States like Imo, Abia, they are in the NDDC, they are in the Southeast. So and that is why there's agitation for a South Development Commission, which is strictly dedicated to the South. Outside the Niger, yes. And that is why President Tinubu, in his wisdom, created a Ministry of Regional Development, where all these agencies will be under. So you see, we are creating too many bureaucracies, which are not necessary. We need to revert back to the era of having development plans and following to the later these development plans. From 1962, as we have said, we have the first development plan. We have the 1970 to 1975 development plan. We have 83 to 85 development plan, and so on. We have been having development plans in this country. But just like the commissions, have we faithfully implemented this development plan? The answer is no. We on paper, we see these development plans, we see annual budget rituals, we see creations of different kinds of parastatals, and so on. And that is the bane of our development planning. We lack the will to ensure that projects designed or programs designed or plans designed are carried out faithfully and in accordance with what is on paper.
Exactly.
When it comes to implementation, we begin to do other things. We begin to cut corners. We begin to do things that will not leave a sustainable development for our communities. We all know what the problems are. The problems are just simple. Let there be good transportation, whether water transportation, whether rail transportation, whether air transportation. That's what people want, so that they can move freely. We want good quality healthcare facilities, not all these buildings that are being commissioned as health centers without any facility, and they will tell you Development Commission is commissioning health center in so villages, or classrooms that after one rainstorm, the whole roof will be blown off. All those are the kind of projects that they are doing, or borehole that will function for 2 weeks. And at the end of the day,
somebody come and take away the generator.
It will just pack up.
Doc, I haven't said so much in terms of this regard. So let's quickly begin to provide solutions, because we have identified the challenges. We also identified this necessity. But although because of history and experience, it has shown that we have not really learned anything from development commissions that have been established in the past. Even the ones that are just coming up, 6 of them are a number right now. The first question I want to ask is that, what is the way forward to ensure that they are effective, efficient, and they manage their resources? Because the concern has been their resources. There are people who believe that, as you rightly pointed out, it's an opportunity to grab from the federal and collect. Even some state governors are believed who are so interested in this particular development commission. For instance, when a particular development commission, I won't mention that development commission, was being debated in National Assembly, the first thing that came to their mind was that the location of the office of that particular development commission. And I was surprised. What has location got to do with the development
commission? It has a lot to do.
I'm not bothered about that. But
they have to rent buildings, they have to build staff quarters, they have to do so many things.
And they will not employ the indigenous of that particular state.
Yeah, so that to do, so they know why they are agitating.
So Doc, let's take a look at the way forward. First, resource management for all these commissions, because we have seen from the experience of the one that already existing that account cannot be rendered as expected. We have seen the experience, and it seems that we have not learned anything. But first and foremost, how can they ensure smooth management, efficient management of their resources?
Well, the major thing is about accountability. Of course, if mechanisms are not put in place and it is business as usual, then we are not heading anywhere. So they have to be a foolproof process of procurement, process of accountability, process of monitoring and evaluation. If that is not put in place, then we are just merely throwing money into a pit. Throwing money into something that is not going to yield any positive development, just as we have been doing with since 1960 that we got independence. Look at our country. It's really pitiable. because we are not sincere enough with ourselves. Several of these agencies are created, and then year in, year out, you wonder the type of programs that are being created. Like I said, there are 2-3 key issues that can tackle Nigerian development challenges, which everybody knows. It is not creation of all these agencies and bodies. If people can have good access to electricity, people have access to quality health care, people have good transportation network, you will see the way this country will transform. Okay? But we all know what the issues are, but we are just chasing shadows, throwing money into something that is not viable. However, since government in its wisdom has established this development commission, then government must also put in mechanisms to ensure that these commissions deliver on whatever mandate that have been given to them. The next thing you will begin to hear is that the commission will be commissioning 200 Hilux vehicles to donate to police and so on. And then you begin to hear the commission is buying wheelbarrows to donate to people
farmers and the rest of it. But Doc, let's also look at another very intriguing aspect of it. The politics behind it and the politics in its play. So that's why the issue of political economy comes in. For us, as we speak right now, as we address this issue, how can we avoid the politicking that will impact this commission? Because we have seen and we have learned that politics definitely affected. The state governors of those regions, all of them will be playing their card. Which one will receive the biggest bogus project? Which one will receive the lesser, and the rest of them? And in terms of recruitment, so the politics behind it and inside being played, how can we avoid the politics? Because if we bring that politics into it, definitely it will retard the development that is expected.
Already from the appointments that have been made so far, you cannot divert politics from it. I'm aware that many of those that have been appointed either as MD of these commissions or commissioners of these commissions,
exactly,
is job for the party chieftains and party stalwart. So as long as you begin to use it as compensation, everybody will feel that is their own share of the national cake. So those appointments are not done on the basis of competency or on the basis of being the technocrat who have a track record over the years. It's just like a job for the boys. So they get into the position, and then so you cannot take the political angle, and that is why we are still playing with the issues of development. I talked earlier about sustainable development. It's not just throwing money and building infrastructure that matter. How sustainable is this infrastructure for the future? Can it last 100 years? Can it last 200 years? You know, once we finish a project, have we finished solving the problem that project was established for? Or have we compounded the problem? Because it is not just carrying out the problem that matter. Okay, you give keke to a young man. After 6 months, the keke breaks down. You cannot even have money to maintain the keke. So the man is back to square one. The keke is in one garage, one workshop, spoiled. The man is back unemployed. So what have you done? You have not still done anything. So we have to think through whatever mandate the commission has been given. We have to be streamlined. The Ministry of Regional Development will have to look critically, screen, evaluate, and ensure that these commissions are adequately monitored to ensure that whatever money that are being given is impacted on the various communities that they are there. But I want to still say that let us get our development priorities clear. It is not jack of all trade and master of none. Let us solve the problems one by one. And you cannot talk development in isolation of the subnationals.
Exactly.
You see, the federal government, yes, we have created development commission. Are this development commission going to work in synergy with the states and local government? or they will just but a top bottom approach. They will just sit in Abuja, identify projects, and then if you are strong enough, this is where the politician comes in now. you because you have influence, you are able to push projects in your community into the budget of the development commission. And then what are communities that don't have the political actors that will be able to push this project into the budget of this?
And talking about subnational participating in this, there is a clause in the act that establishes the commission that between 15 to 25% of each state money will be deducted and be added to fund those commissions. How do you see that coming into play? Because in other experience like the UBEC, universal basic education, counterpart funding from state is always lacking.
Yes.
And it brings a big problem from state from not accessing some of those funds. And in this case now, if a state fail to remit its own, what do you think will happen? Is it that they will not carry out giant projects like landmark project, legacy project in those states?
That is what this clearly means, because you gave an analogy of the UBEC situation where the funds are lying down.
Exactly.
And many states cannot access those funds. I just pray that the the development commissions will not fall into that trap, that same experience. But issues of development are very, very dear to many, even state governments, federal governments. So I see no reason why, if a state government knows that they bring 20% of their fund and put it into the development commission, and they are sure that certain projects, legacy projects, will be done in their states, I see no reason why they will not want to take that advantage. But again, we see even from the World Bank projects, we still see that even World Bank projects, states drag, especially in contribution to the social CDSA, yes, Community and Social Development Agencies. You see that some states is virtually moribund because states are very reluctant in contributing their meager resources to some of these development projects, especially projects that will not be under their control, projects that somebody else will superintend and also spend the money. States will be very reluctant in such contribution.
Doing their own contribution. Yes. But Doc, before I let you go, we have less than 2 minutes to round up. In 1 minute, what is your advice to the management of these commissions? We have seen experience that was not too good for us. We have cited the case of NDDC in the past, although NDDC is having a renewed phase right now with new management, with new accountability. But for these new ones, what is your advice to them in management?
By fear before I give my advice is that I hope another government will not just come and scrap all these commissions, because it's actually duplication of development function. What we are seeing is that different agencies doing different things. So I hope they will not come and scrap them. Then in terms of advice, my advice is that at this point of our history, these commissions have been created and they must ensure that every fund that have been budgeted for them are judiciously used and spent. People should see that the appointments into those commissions are called to service. They are not called to come and chop, as the case Palace go in Nigeria.
Exactly.
So they have to ensure that the funds are transparently managed and projects are executed in quality, projects that touch the lives of the people, not just white elephant projects, not just projects for having projects sake, but projects that really touch on impact on the lives of the people, are projects that they will embark on. So basically, if that can be done, and they should spend less on bureaucracy, most of the funds should go directly into capital projects rather than using monies for bogus bureaucracy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mathew Omale. So grateful that you are on the show, and insightful also that you are able to bring a perspective that I know that many of our viewers would understand what the Development Commission is all about, and the challenges they could be confronted, because from history we have had them before. This is not the first time we have been having the Development Commission. Thank you for being on the show today, and we hope that when we call you again, you'll make yourself available for us.
Thank you for having me.